Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. This is Intro to PandaDoc. My name is Paul DeBarros. We'll get started in just a couple minutes. Looks like folks are trickling in, so we'll give it a minute or two and then we'll officially start. Hope everyone is doing well today, and thanks for joining us. Again, this is Intro to PandaDoc. My name is Paul DeBarros, and I'm a sales manager here on our team, calling you guys from San Francisco. And we will get started in just, give it 1 minute. Some folks are wrapping up lunch or dialing in, and I've got a screen share up here. You should be able to see them on the PandaDoc homepage. Again, we'll give it a minute and we'll get rocking and rolling. All right. Well, I think it's about that time. Again, this is Intro to PandaDoc, a product-intensive webinar. We're expecting folks from all over the world, really geared and focused to small businesses, business owners, and potentially folks who are interested in just starting their research and the first foray into what is PandaDoc and how could it help either yourself or your small business of 2 users, potentially even a small team as you grow. So what we'll do to kick off, I'll share, again, my name is Paul DeBarros. I'm the sales manager here at PandaDoc. PandaDoc as a sales and business document platform is really geared around helping automate and speed up repeatable processes around your business documents, such as proposals, quotes, and contracts. I think a nice way for us to start for everyone who's just joining is to visit point you to at least our homepage, which is PandaDoc.com. And today we're going to cover some high-level concepts, but if anything looks really exciting, looks interesting, or you want to take the keys and take it for a test drive, we have access here at the top to a free trial. You can just click here, enter in your information, and have full access, no credit card required. So we'll touch on a lot of the core concepts, everything from creating templates and documents and speeding up your business documents, all the way to signing and getting e-signatures and getting a signature on your business document. We'll cover some important pieces to help your business, in between. And at the end, hope you can go ahead and set up a free trial, have a look for yourself, and start seeing where it's going to help your business. I think we'll break down the meeting here today into a couple of themes or sections. So, look for the first 15 or 20 minutes to be a nice overview and orientation of the creating, the editability and the customization of PandaDoc templates. And then the second half will speed up and really click into some best practices for increasing your sales, repeating and automating some steps that can become arduous. And then we'll even have questions, and in the live chat box here on our BrightTalk page, you can post questions. And in the final 15 minutes, I hope to really dive into a couple of unique points or questions from the audience. So let's kick it off, folks. When you go to PandaDoc.com, up at the very top, you'll see that Try It for Free button. That is, again, a great place for logging in, getting a feel for PandaDoc, and you'll experience a full tutorial that's going to hit on a lot of our concepts. So for the presentation here, what I've gone ahead and done is set up a few different tabs where I hope we can start really hitting home on what makes PandaDoc so powerful and helps businesses speed up a lot of their document process. So just to start with, when you log into PandaDoc, this will be a nice orientation. You're going to log in with your business work email. You'll be able to configure your settings, set up your email notifications, and even put your profile picture right up here. Once you've done that, the next piece to really understanding PandaDoc is get yourself oriented with the left-hand navigation bar. And I'm going to hover over templates because really this is our secret sauce. And a template is a repeatable document that you're going to use over and over. It's a master document. It's a wireframe. And so templates will be something we really focus ourselves and focus our attention on. Beneath templates, you have a content library. That's going to be, as you start getting comfortable, a little bit of a digital asset manager or a repository where you will store various legal texts, videos, one-page documents, and we'll show you how that speeds up your process. Up above, this is where you have documents. And this is where you're going to be storing all of your material, whether it's a proposal or a contract that's been sent out to a customer, or perhaps it's just in a drafted state. And I'll be sure to cover the difference between templates and documents. I think a lot of times when folks start initial research, they're coming from a world where they live in Microsoft Excel, they live in Microsoft Word, they have files and folders on their desktop. They're used to either starting off a business process by going into their inbox and finding that old proposal, that old quote, and then copying and pasting and picking up from there, or they start from scratch each and every time. So they pop open a new Excel or a new Word doc, and that's where they start their process. For PandaDoc, anytime you have a PDF or a Word document and you receive a file from someone else, if what you're looking to do is simply assign e-signature or fields on top of a document, you're going to go up here to Create New. You're going to select Document, and you'll see this selection menu that pops up for you. And at the very top, you'll have a list of templates, public templates, which PandaDoc has provided to help start off businesses. Have a look at that when you can. And then there's these two options here of upload and import. That's where you're going to either be uploading a PDF document. Let's say it's a governmental form, a W-2 or a business document that's in PDF format. Someone sends it to you, and you simply want to assign an e-signature and send it back to them. Well, PandaDoc is great for that. You'll just click Upload, you'll drag a field onto it, and you'll click Send, and you'll email it back, and it's got your signature on it. The import feature is something you can do with Google Documents or with Word doc files. And that's where you will maybe take your current proposal or business document and you want to map it or put it into PandaDoc. And so take a look at that import feature and see if that helps you get started. But in PandaDoc, when you first log into your trial, you're going to find that we've put a little tester framework of a template for you. And the real power of PandaDoc is going to be for you to create your own template. So let's start with that concept. Here's a group that I've worked with a few months back. It's a small business based in Indianapolis. When they got started, they were living in a world of having an Excel document that has some logic, and it was helping them compute their standard proposal and quote. Now these folks work in a restaurant scheduling industry. They're trying to have a small team of 3 users create repeatable proposals and quotes, and then click Send and deliver them in a repeatable, fast way to their clients. So when they started, we just did a mock-up and we applied a background image, we took their blue font and hex colors, and we inputted some of their logo. So I'll start with the idea of a template in PandaDoc is a little bit unique. So PandaDoc is HTML, web-based. It's our proprietary editor. So rather than being a Word document or an Adobe InDesign file that lives down on your desktop or on your business machine, PandaDoc is cloud-based. It's up 24/7. It's baked onto AWS. It's secure and functional. And what we see is that by having the template and having this in the cloud, you're able to speed up so much of your business. So let's call out a couple high-level pieces and then start showing you some tips and tricks. So within PandaDoc, you'll notice that we have this content section with blocks and with tokens. So the way that a PandaDoc document is laid out is that in each section, we have it almost separated into what we call content blocks. And you'll notice that as I hover over, there's these little trash can items, which means I could delete or remove any section of the document. So that's helpful to think of, right? So first, you're noticing that this is in the cloud, and it's a continuous scrolling document. So you can assign page breaks, which will assign page numbers, but for all intents and purposes, PandaDoc is, limitless. You have unlimited storage, unlimited length or scrollability here on the document. So that's a good place to start. Then when it comes to really figuring out how are you going to make your first template, you'll want to start being familiar with the idea of a placeholder or a token. And so this here, for example, at the top it says company name. And that's a place where as you generate your proposals or quotes, you would hope that you could automate and either have the company name that you're going to be delivering this quote to, oh gee, if it could just populate automatically, or if in one click you could insert that name and it could auto-populate throughout the rest of the document. So you're familiar with that concept from a mail merge or from a token or placeholder, and so we have that functionality too. When it comes to actually assigning the look and feel of your proposal, because after all, the feeling that people have when they open this and looking at your business and your brand, that is paramount. So from the dotted ellipses section here where it says more, you can actually see design and you can see settings. Those are going to be two places where you have control to augment the look and feel of this first template. And the beauty of PandaDoc is, we give you some access to some really great themes, or you can make your own theme. When we're getting wrapped up today, I'll point you to a section on our webpage where we really go into detail, and you should feel like you'll have a really good sense of how to, set this up so that it mimics what you have, or maybe this is a perfect moment if you're researching PandaDoc to, wipe the slate clean and come up with a more impactful, more visually stimulating proposal and contract that maps to your business, tells your story, showcases your brand. So with that being said, let me give you a better tutorial of the template document and call out some important items. Again, the yellow token is something that should pre-populate in your workflow. So what I'll do is introduce you to the idea of connecting this to your CRM. A lot of folks, starting off a business, they have that idea. They've looked at Pipedrive, HubSpot, Salesforce, Nimble, Base, Zoho. There's a whole bunch of great systems out there. You'll have to see what works best for your business. But if that's something you're considering, PandaDoc has those integrations where from within each of the CRMs, you would select a button to generate a document, and it's going to auto-populate all these various fields and placeholders. Now, if you're not there yet, if you think a CRM is maybe a 2019 project or beyond, you can still start with PandaDoc and see some of the automation and benefits. So what it feels like without a CRM is that you will select your template, and where you have these tokens, you simply will fill them in once. And throughout the document, it will populate and fill in. A great way to experience that is just set up a trial within PandaDoc and get started with our example template. And if you have any questions, you'll be able to contact our support folks and we'll show you a few tricks. Let me just scroll down further to the document and call out a few other items that are going to be important. So PandaDoc is all about helping create a repeatable and streamlined process. So in order to do that, there are certain sections and certain pieces of the document that you're going to have full editability. And so this is something you can change fonts, you can change text. Again, this should feel like something you've done in Microsoft Word or Google Docs or another editing system. Well, now you can do that right here from the cloud. Other business owners or other partners or other colleagues will have access to help and kind of see what else is going on. When it comes to sections of the document, I'll just call out that we have some different features and functionalities that you're going to start using, such as duplicating sections and pieces of a document. You're going to also be adding it to the content library, and I'll talk more on the power of those two pieces. And then should you really require, as you start scaling up, and if there's folks on the call here that have more than 2 or 3 users on their team that will be using PandaDoc, then this is a great place to tell you about this restricting editing, or we call it content locking. And that's where you can decide on which pieces of the proposal or contract you want your colleagues and your sales team maybe to be having the ability to edit and personalize, and then which do you want to lock down and maintain on-brand compliance. From the locking piece, I'll move to that idea then of the content library. So PandaDoc operates off this model of you have a template that you're going to repeat your process. You can edit all of the sections and pieces that you like. And then from a user perspective, before you would ever send this out to a customer, you're going to want to be able to introduce specific items that are going to help either make your proposal or quote more personal, better resonate with the client, or even just better help your client in their decision process, or in their buyer's journey. One way we see that done successfully is to really lean on the content library. So you as a business owner, take some of your most repeated steps or your most repeated processes and decouple them or break them apart into little pieces and upload those into the library. So I'll give you just an example of what I mean. Perhaps you have a client testimonial or a case study video. This would be a great place that you first upload it into the library. And now when it's go time and you get off of a phone meeting with a prospect and you'd like to quickly send this to them, you can access the library, search and filter. You can find what you're looking for, and then in just a drag and drop motion, you're going to introduce that content directly into the document. And so this works great for videos, half pages of text, answers to common questions, even the ability to drag and drop legalese or specific payment instructions or lease rental agreements or various pieces that in the old way you would need to search your desktop or search your S drive, dig into your inbox and find what you're looking for, and then copy and paste. So with PandaDoc, the idea is think through some of the key elements, store them into the content library, and then just drag and drop as needed. We'll focus in on some of this as we get going here and pick up the pace, folks. But I hope some of this is really getting you excited and showing you some of the power of PandaDoc. I'm going to take a moment and share a best practice that we see business owners using all of the time, and it's this right here, which is video. And we've heard from a lot of different industry research and groups such as HubSpot, where they find that buyers today prefer to consume video, and 80% of buyers and executives prefer to watch a short video versus read through 3 or 4 pages of text. And so I'll leave you with that thought that in a lot of your interactions, a lot of your follow-up emails, a lot of your client conversations, you may find that you're going back and forth in email, you're hopping on a lot of phone calls, and then when it's time to send a proposal, you're trying to spell out everything that's been covered. We really encourage spelling out the details for the customer, but I would definitely encourage the idea of introducing a video at some place in your proposal or in your quote, whether that's a recap video, whether that's a case study video, or perhaps if you've started using, as a lot of our customers have, something like Zoom video or a recording software. When you do have a web conference, within PandaDoc, you can even simply upload that to YouTube and insert that YouTube video directly into the PandaDoc. Now, when you deliver this to your client, they're going to be able to watch that, and there's going to be a whole lot of power behind getting them focused in on this document. So with that being said, let me cover 2 or 3 concepts in regards to our pricing table, because this, for a lot of business folks, this is where they live in an Excel document or a similar form for quoting logic, for being able to repeat and list out their prices. And so PandaDoc has that CPQ, or configure price quote functionality, built in, and there's going to be a nice balancing act between functionality and ease of use. So I'm clicking on our pricing table, I'm walking through different sections, and I'll just show you an example that by typing and searching, I can find all of my products. So folks, whether I'm a software as a service, or I'm a consulting group, or I'm a hardware vendor that has thousands of different SKUs and products and codes, simply by taking a CSV Excel file and putting that into what we call the product catalog, you're going to be able to have this search functionality and find the correct item, have it list the price, the quantity, the discount percentage, margin, tax rate. These are various ways that we see, groups kind of building out their proposal or their quote. And I mentioned the idea that everything should be thought of as blocks. And what that also means for PandaDoc is you've got an ability to easily, in one click, remove any section that maybe shouldn't be there. And so you can do this removing functionality just by clicking each item and either tapping the trash can or hitting remove row from the right-hand sidebar. So I hope that starts to give you a couple of fun ideas of ways that you'll have something that's repeatable, having something that you can do over and over again, and still be able to quickly delete something that would need to be deleted. So I'll scroll down even further, and some of the groups and teams here that are on the call today, you were intrigued with the idea of electronic signature. And so that's something to be clear that with PandaDoc, you have that full capability as well. You'll have it listed on your template, and then what that means is each time you go and send this out, it will populate with who is your recipient, who is the client that's going to receive this. And then they're going to be able to open this and click, 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 and it'll be electronically signed, and you will have that back to you. So let's maybe take a couple looks at other ways other businesses have set this up, give you some more ideas and things to think about, and then we'll move into what happens once you actually do send these PandaDocs. You're probably wondering, hey, what does it look like? How does the client receive it? Is it PDF? Is it PandaDoc? Tell me more. So let's get to that in just a moment. This is a group that we work with called Pink Tech. Small business, 2 business owners, and they have a couple of, I guess, guns for hire that they have working with them. And they go out and they do cleaning services and painting services. So if this feels like any sort of business that you're running today, take a look here at how they've cleaned up what used to be a pretty, disparate, clunky Excel document where they then had to attach a couple of PDFs and link back to their website. So the goal here was to streamline all of it, put it in a more easily repeated process, and make sure what's delivered to the customer is really simple, really clear. So we helped them. We converted this particular template from their original Excel document, and where you see the yellow, again, those are the tokens or the variables. And so those actually get pulled or merged from the CRM that the company is using. If you're not on a CRM yet, you'll simply fill in the contact's first name and last name once, and it will populate throughout the document. So if it was listed 14 times on all the pages, that contact's first name and last name will populate throughout. Great way to save time and speed up processes. But as I scroll down, you'll notice the way that they map out their description of work, the different types of options and service sections that they want to offer variability. And then down beneath, they have different types of payment schedules or different types of options. So this is something that a salesperson maybe would edit and augment and configure directly from their business computer in a pretty speedy way. So they can take something that's not applicable and quickly, in one click, remove it. They can change some of the text. I'll just bold and unbold it so you get the picture. But everything here is tables and fully editable. Now, there's something pretty powerful what happens once you are ready and you actually do send this out to the customer. But I'll just highlight this idea of recipients and roles, because we get questions all the time with how this works, but I've assigned it to be internal and external. And you can set those names as you like. When I click on the roles section on the right-hand side, that's where, again, you can get that perspective. So a template, to step back for a moment, a template is that master document. You're going to keep repeating from this wireframe. So you want to have roles. You want to decide who's the person that works at your company, and then who is the external party, who is going to be the recipient. And rather than assigning an actual person's name or an actual email, you just assign the role. And that leads you to the power of being able to repeat this over and over. So I'll make something very clear that when I click Create Document, that is where I'm starting, hitting the go button on taking this template, selecting a document from it, and now I'm going to have full editability on that specific document. Perhaps up at the very top here, in the document, I would change the name and include the customer's name. So I'll go back over to the home screen and just call out that in that world, documents will be called titles of material and documents that are being sent out to the customer, whereas templates, again, are those simple folders, those documents, rather that are master wireframes. So templates versus documents. Pay close attention to that, because we have had people ask questions about that as they get started. So one other piece is that roles, again, map to the template. On a document, we call those the recipient. And so I'll show you a bit more on that. But let's just zoom into one or two more tricks for small businesses when it comes to displaying their pricing. We get a lot of questions about, well, is there any way to offer optionality to the customer? Can we offer, a small package or a large package? Can we offer a monthly fee or show them an annual fee with perhaps a discount? All of those are great examples of PandaDoc, and you'll want to set up your template to correspond to that, and you'll want your user to be able to edit and make adjustments, taking something out, dragging and dropping something in. But within the pricing table, that configure price quote functionality, there's going to be a whole lot of customization. So when you click inside of the pricing table, again, you're going to have on the right-hand side all sorts of places you can make adjustments and change. Perhaps you want to show discounts on a specific line item or at a total discount level. Perhaps you want to show subtotals or take those away. All of these are going to be examples of what you can tweak and customize. But I will just show you this idea here of this optionality. It's pretty neat that you can go in and just toggle, do you want it to be optional, and also do you want the quantity to be editable? And so when you toggle those on and off, what you're doing is you're allowing the customer to either hit the checkbox from their end of it and have it kind of add to their cart or add to their total cost. So we see a lot of people put some thought into what's going to be the best experience for the buyer. Do you want to have back and forth and several iterations, or do you want to have an experience where you deliver this hybrid of a proposal and a quote and a contract, and it's all in one? And that's our recommendation, is that you kind of think through what's the map that the customer is going to need. And you tell them your story, you recap what you talked about, you include your pricing, the payment instructions, and then of course at the very bottom, it already has that e-signature for just receiving the signature on the document, and then it saves back into your system or into PandaDoc itself, and everyone's emailed. So let's take you through a couple pieces of what happens when you're ready. And let's say we've built this out, we dragged and dropped a video or two, the pricing looks good, you've included the discount, you're going to go ahead and set an expiration, you're going to go ahead and look through just a couple of the settings in PandaDoc. You maybe you're going to set some auto reminders All of these are great best practices. Expire the document in 30 days, set a reminder every 3 days that this bubbles up and hits the top of the inbox of the customer, so that it's almost that you're sitting and forgetting. You generate this proposal and quote, you send it to the customer, and now there's a cadence to it, or they're going to be reminded, and so you can focus on all the moving parts of your business. So in just a moment, I'll walk you through what happens next, some of the power and the sales tricks, and then we'll talk about, well, this all looks great, but how do I store it? How do I have folders? How do I think through what's going to happen if I introduce this as the process into my business? So we'll start moving into that direction shortly. Want to just take a moment, remind everyone on the call, you're welcome to use the questions box. I see a few have just started to bubble up. So as I'm talking, feel free to go ahead and just drop a question or something you want me to move to and cover. But let me point you over to one important piece on our website. It's a brand new page that our marketing team just launched. It's called the PandaDoc.com/tour, and you can just see that from the top of our homepage. What's going to be really nice is that it goes over some of the themes that we've just covered. It also introduces, or better clarifies some of these ideas around templates, some of these ideas around the pricing table, and you'll see more detail there. But it also is going to, here's mention of that CRM, and there is some payment functionality from the folks who are on the call that use Stripe as your payment provider. If you do not, we have ways that simply by collecting the signature on the document and saving it, perhaps we can route that to your QuickBooks Online and generate the invoice, or simply send the contract to an email alias like invoices@company.com, and then your finance or AP person can create the invoice. So take a look at this tour. It does a nice job of digging into some of the features that we won't get to cover today. But I want to draw your attention to now what happens once you've sent out a PandaDoc. So to recap, everyone who's been on the call, right, we've covered templates, we've dragged and dropped, we've customized. When it was specifically time to create your actual proposal or quote, we would have clicked Create Document. We would have dragged and dropped what needed to be edited. If you set up the template correctly, it's only a couple movements or clicks or adjustments, and then you click Send. So when you click Send, what happens? What is a PandaDoc? So what you're actually delivering to the customer is your branded email to the top of the inbox. So take a look here where it says your logo at the top, and then beneath it, it has a set of text. This is all going to be customized for you. The only thing that maintains is there'll be a large button that says Open the document. And so that's important because that's the call to action. That's how your customer is going to interact or open the PandaDoc material you just sent them. When they click on it, they're going to go to a full screen view of that document. They do not need to log in or introduce a code or an email address. They can see that material seamlessly. However, when they're looking at it, there's no file size limit. There's no awkward download wait time. They're seeing the full document and they can scroll through it. And there's going to be some powerful alerts and notifications that come back to you as the business owner to help you stay on top of that. But I get this question all the time, what does it look like? So it's your email. You'll either have a canned saved message that will be sent with your email and with your document, or you can actually type out your new message each time and personalize it to the customer. They're going to be able to see this hit the top of their inbox. This stands out and looks different than sending a generic email and attaching 4 PDFs as little attachments. This is something that hits the top of the inbox. It has your logo, your branding, and it captures the attention of your buyer. When you scroll down on this tour page, you'll also be reminded of some of those alerts and some of those features that I was talking about. So a lot of businesses come to us and they get the idea that, okay, well maybe PandaDoc, for me to start with, I'll think of it as an Excel or a Word document 2.0. It looks a little bit snazzier, it has better branding, it now has videos and easy to read pricing tables, and it has the e-signature. But PandaDoc also operates as your sales secret weapon. It is the ability to click send and then let the power of PandaDoc take over. So you can set an expiration. You can set a reminder to go out every 7 days. And perhaps that enables you to sit back and focus on other pieces while that proposal or quote will re-pop up to the top of the inbox. So it helps you not have to chase down or follow up every single thing. But if that's not enough of a way of really steering home and helping them come to the finish line or bring them across, then we have some extra functions and features that I think you'll find really powerful. One of those is the in-document commenting. And so on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll notice this bar or this kind of activity feed or chat comment room that stands on the side of the document. And that's really powerful because when you deliver that email, it's going to put a message at the top. And then once the client has a question or a concern, they can simply leave a comment right here, and that's going to send you an email notification, and vice versa. If you post a comment or a message and you leave it here with a time and date stamp associated to the document, that's going to send an alert and an email notification back to the client. So while the reminders and alerts are really powerful, leaving a comment on the document is super impactful because it's going to notify the customer. It pulls them right back to your proposal or your contract or your quote. And it has that nice personal feel of it. It's got your picture. It is really a much easier experience. You're not just sending them an email and saying, hey, have you had a chance to look over this? You're kind of pulling them back to the document, and we encourage you to add value by making something clear in that comment section for them. So let me move over to a couple other themes. Just in case that screen was too small, again, take a look at the right-hand side. Here's another, just an example template document that we created for a customer. When I sent this out, just in a demo experience, here was the message I had typed out. Now, beneath it, the customer and I could begin a dialogue and post those comments back and forth. One piece that I now will show you, super important for a business owner wondering, okay, well, how do I know what happens once I send it out? Because today you're sending out proposals and quotes all the time. You're sending out an email and you're attaching it, or you send out a link to your Google Drive folder or Google Drive PowerPoint, but you're not really sure, okay, well, did they open it? Did they look at it? Did they forward it to their colleague? There's a lot of unanswered questions. With PandaDoc, we start answering those questions. So here on the document recipients analytics page, you're, as a user, the person who sent this, you're able to see a couple things. At the very top, you notice the purple dot, and it says viewed. That means the customer has opened and has looked at this quote form. Now, on the analytics page, you can really drill in and see, whom was the recipient, how many times was it viewed, how long have they spent on it, and did they download it? And so you can start to see all that information here. And that's on a page-by-page breakdown. So if you're a small business, or if you're launching a consultant group or a brand agency or an SEO optimization service, all of your proposal is geared around spelling out how you're going to help the customer. And it's going to be really important to understand where are they looking and where are they spending their time, and maybe where they have questions. So one best practice is we see business owners provide out a proposal and a quote with the individual pages really bifurcated or separated into important sections. So a company overview, a case study, a mutual agreed timeline, a SOW or a project roadmap, and then the pricing. And by separating those pages, you're able to look here at the analytics and in detail understand, well, geez, they're spending 22 minutes scrolling down and spending their time on the pricing page. And with that information, you can prepare for your meeting coming up the next day, or you can jump in and leave a comment on the document for the customer and say, hey, I'm available today if you did have any questions, and it becomes topical, and it becomes something where you're providing a service to help them. Once they're opening it and they're spending their time on your document, don't just wait and put the onus on them to reach out to you. You can actually jump in and be a little assertive or assumptive to have that conversation now and say, hey, I'm available, post anything or let me know, happy to speak. This is a great way we see actually with PandaDoc, shortening sales cycles, increasing your ability to win deals, but close them faster. And we see that across all types of industries. So at that level, let me switch gears and just confirm for folks on the line that are starting to wonder, okay, well, this all looks great. The vivid templates, the better design, the pricing is easy, the customer can adjust or select or add to their cart. But now you're wondering, okay, well, right now I've got one, free e-signature license that I've logged into. It's a little clunky. With PandaDoc, you won't need that anymore either. PandaDoc does have the e-signature capability. It's something that is, certified and approved across the world. We're used by small businesses all the way to large corporations. What does the experience feel like to actually e-sign? Well, it feels very similar to the other e-sign providers. It's just a little bit easier. So when you send a document, it hits the inbox of your customer, they're just going to open it on any device, on their iPad, their phone, or from their email inbox. And then without having to log in, they will just simply click and tap. There's a button at the very bottom that says next and done. And once they've hit through and tapped, here's just an example of one signature that's been applied to the document. I can come back and show you a whole host of examples. Let me just move back over to the dashboard and give you a better sense of, okay, well, what's really happening once these are opened, looked at and viewed, or e-signed and completed. So that's a great question. It's a question a lot of business owners have. So I'm back at the PandaDoc main homepage. Of course, I'm already logged in again. I can toggle from the past week, the past month, the past 3 months. What are all those proposals and quotes that have been sent out? And you can start to organize this or set up your business so that it's really scalable. So let's take a look at the last month. I've sent out 90 documents. 74 documents have been viewed and are being looked at, and 54 documents have been fully e-signed and completed. Now, rather than having some content sprawl, which is an issue where you start saving and storing your material in different disparate locations, rather than having a Dropbox folder, a folder on your desktop, your inbox, and an old SharePoint file, with PandaDoc, you're going to be able to have everything stored here and listed as completed. And so simply drilling into that folder, you're going to be able to see time and date stamp and search from, what was the date that it was last looked at or last completed. You can find the actual document. You can click here and open the document. Of course, you can download it as a PDF, but with PandaDoc, you're having unlimited storage. It's always going to be here for you, searchable. So I heard that question a lot from customers is, how do we think of this as almost a light contract management system? And there is truth to that. There's an ability here for you to map out not only in the content library the small pieces of legalese and paragraph and what's your international verbiage versus your domestic USA verbiage, or what's your monthly agreement payment schedule versus your annual agreement payment schedule. Those pieces of content you want to set into the content library. And then your documents folder, this is where, we've had a couple questions come into the chat box about, can you organize sent documents, or can you organize any completed documents? So this, again, is a great way. In this example, we have a whole host of different folders and documents and information. I'll click into my folder, and you can just see, different types of forms. You can start adding folders. You'll set a different name for a folder. You can have an archive folder. You can really just think through what's the right way to set, whether it's just a map or a visual of the different tree structures and folder structures that are going to help you. But start small. When you first log in here and you're in the templates environment, I encourage you to really just start with some basics. Let me go back to folks that are just starting and just getting into PandaDoc. you go ahead and create that trial. The first thing you're going to see is there'll be a couple templates. I always encourage you when you first start, be aware that on the right-hand very side, you can click these three dots and you can click this button, duplicate. And so it's a really nice way of, when you first start, have one that's your master, document or your master template that you spent a few minutes and you've added your colors and logo and you made these blocks. Go ahead and click duplicate, and then that way you can have fun and kind of walk around with one of them, but you won't mess up the other. So you'll start creating a couple folders. Maybe what would be a good example is when you first start, you'll have a template folder of contracts. You have a template folder of proposals, and maybe one other folder which is templatized marketing content or follow-up content. Those would be ways I think groups start with PandaDoc, and then you'll become more and more adept as you get going. Same with the content library. You needn't feel that when you first start, you need to reinvent the wheel and copy and paste everything you've ever built and put it into the content library. I think it's a nice moment when you first start to start working off of a template, build one or two really kick-ass proposals and get them out to a customer. And if you find there's pieces that are duplicitous and you start using over and over, then that's a great moment to go into the content library and drag and drop that piece or add that piece. And you can do that from the home page, but I will make clear, when you're looking at your own template or your own document, if something really is something that you'd like to add back to the content library, you can just see that here's a whole section of text I'm looking at in the template. Just by going ahead into the right-hand corner, this three dot symbol, you're going to be able to either duplicate it or add to the content library. And so this is a question I get all the time is, well, I'm kind of in go mode, and I want to create one perfect proposal, and then if I need to do it again next week, I want to be 2 steps ahead of the game. That is what this is here for. When you create that proposal, if it's something that you think, oh, I'm going to use this again and again, this is pretty sweet, well, just click these three dots, click on Add to Content Library, and then you can either attach it to something that currently exists, or you can just have it added as a new item. You'll call it, maybe we'll just be really generic here and call it legal paragraph. And that's something that you would search for and save and be able to drag and drop over and over again. From that home page, you can also organize all of this. So you notice here we've got different folders with case studies, deliverable information. That's all material that you can think through and schedule some different folders and different items. So let me take a look here and move over to the chat box and see what's popped up. I'll also encourage you folks to take a look. There was 2 questions down at the bottom of the page. There's a couple of questions and answers. You're more than welcome to just populate those. It could help the final few minutes of the conversation. We've got about 10 minutes left. I will wait and see if a question pops up, and then what I'm going to do is go ahead and show for the folks who are really starting to get interested and say, well, wait a minute, gee, this really could help me with proposals or quotes or e-signatures. I'll show you kind of what would be your first steps and where really to bookmark so that you don't have any issues getting a feel for PandaDoc. So go ahead and leave some chats or questions if you like. While we do that, I will move over to a page up on our website, which is our help and support section. And it's where, if I've gone really quick and I've hit on some ideas, I said templates a whole bunch of times. I talked about roles, and I talked about those content blocks and fields and tokens. For someone who wants to just start small, go ahead and first create that free trial, and then just visit help.pandadoc.com. You can just search for our section here, and it's got a lot of good information. You'll be able to play around and just answer some questions. You'll see how you can set this up. It'll kind of walk you through, and there's actually some guided tutorials in there. So I would say to start off with, go to the home page, create a free trial, Again, no cost, free 14 days. And then check out that FAQ page, because it's really been built to help you get started and start seeing some value. And from there, another best practice is take a look at your last contract, your last proposal that you actually have won a deal with or closed business with. And I encourage all of my customers to do this exercise when I first start with PandaDoc. So go ahead and take a look at that past email chain and that past contract document, and try to take a look at your notes and see, what were the phone meetings that you had, what were the questions in the email chain that were back and forth. And if it feels like some of those are going to be things that happen again and again, then I encourage you to include that material in your template or in your proposal. So it's pretty interesting that you can start from the finish line of what worked in the past and take a look at what were all the objections, the questions, the concerns. And then when you build your new template 2.0 or your first PandaDoc template to help you win more business, start introducing some of those answers and introduce a paragraph or a table of contents and then one page that speaks to some of those questions that came up last time. It's going to show a couple things to the customer. One, you really know your stuff. Two, you've done this before. But three, it's just going to save you a lot of time. You're not going to have to re-answer those questions, copy and paste into email. It's going to be as simple as click send on PandaDoc. It's going to get delivered to your customer's inbox. When they open it, when they look at it, you're going to get alerted and notified, and now you're on top of it. And then when they do have questions, they're going to post it as a comment on the document. That notifies you again, the business owner or the user, and then you can jump in and help answer their question. So I see a couple questions here taking us back to during negotiation of the proposal, if you need to revise any prices, how does that work? And this is a really good question. It sounds like it's in regards to when you're on a page of a document and you are looking at the pricing page. So I'll go ahead to the home page and show you on some documents the ability to kind of take a look at what's been sent, what's been viewed, what's been completed. And I will make you aware of this idea of a drafted state. So a drafted document is something you're working on, but it has not been sent out. And something that has been sent, of course, you click the button to send it and it went to their inbox, but they have not yet viewed it. So it's important to pay attention to those statuses because it's going to be a part of the answer to this question. So I'm going to take a look just for example's sake at one of our demo documents that has been sent out. And I'll kind of call out the difference between the old way of doing it and the new way of doing it. So take a look at this on the right-hand side. This says edit. So this is pretty important. In the old way of sending a document, you would attach a PDF to an email. And you'd say, dear customer, please find attached our quote. Let me know what you think. If they wanted an edit or they wanted you to change the price or take out a line item or revise a section of the proposal, you had to tell the customer, okay, I will get on that this afternoon. And you had to go to your PDF on your desktop, make the change, or go back to a Word document, make the change, resave it as a PDF, then upload it back to your email and call it, version 2 or Thursday, August 9th, version 2.0. Hey, client, here's the next version. Take a look at this attachment. And so started this chain, and this, some friction was introduced to the process. PandaDoc hates that. And so with PandaDoc, there's only one document. It's the document that you and the customer are working on. Once it's been sent, no one can make a change or configure or change it. From the sender's point of view, if they need to negotiate or change the proposal, first you will hit this edit button. That's going to change the document back to the drafted state. Then down beneath it, on the pricing page, I'll show you back over here where there was some clear pricing. If this was an edited state, I could simply take something out, change the price, change the quantity, maybe let's say they, instead of having 12, they only wanted to have 3. So I click save just actually by moving my cursor, and it automatically, all changes have been saved. So every second, it's saving to the cloud and updating your document. So now this is back in a drafted state. In 2 seconds, you've made that pricing requested change from the client, and then simply down here beneath it, if this were a document you could send, it would have the big green button that says send. And you hit the send button, and it goes back to the top of the inbox of the customer. So very different experience, but during negotiation, whether you're on the call or whether you see a comment or an email from the customer, in one click, you can click edit, you can change the document, you can adjust the price, and then you hit send again. And it goes back to the top of the email inbox of your client, and now they're able to click on it, and now they're looking at that updated material. And so something powerful there is there are no versions. There's no version 3 or version 4. It simply is the current version of the document, and that's one little purview into the power of PandaDoc. So let me just pause for a moment, see if other questions pop up, and I will try to wrap us up here in the final 3 or 4 minutes. It looks like a couple of new folks have joined the line. And perhaps what I'll do, have a look back at our tour page and just walk you through, probably in a 30-second recap. But thanks for the 3 folks who we answered those questions. Hope those were helpful. So let me do this. If this is all sounding good and you're very interested in taking a look and learning more at your own speed, no pressure, go ahead and create a free trial. Click here on our homepage, introduce your information. You'll be able to have full access. You can play with documents, send it. You can even close a few deals before you even ask about pricing. And when it comes to pricing, just have a look at our page. We've just recently redone it and tried to make it very easy for if you're just looking to have the nuts and bolts and the table stakes of it all with the e-signature. We hope you find that our individual plan really is a good starting place. And then as you grow, if you have teams, you'll see that we have 2 different plans that should give you some great variability and scalability. So create the trial, and then have a look at our FAQ page, the support page at help.pandadoc.faq, and you'll walk through some of the core basics. And as a quick recap for anyone who's just joining us, you can get a really good sense of PandaDoc as cloud-based, always-on templates with an online document editor with the CPQ pricing, configure price quote functionality. Now, I've just seen one more question I want to turn and answer it. It says, sometimes we allow our clients to modify the contract by having tracking on in Word version. How is that possible in PandaDoc? And that, folks, is a really good one for us to zoom in on something that we see every day, which is that a lot of clients are used to using that Word document for tracking changes on contracts and legalese. And a lot of lawyers are very comfortable with that because it's not cloud-based. It's something they do on their own machine, knowing that no one is tracking, there's no alerts. And so a Word document is the de facto way of doing that. At PandaDoc, we're actually big partners with Microsoft. We love what they're doing, and our teams work closely to think about the future. When it comes to the Word document for legal red lines, we think that is the best way, and we think that is going to be the way of the near term. So we encourage you to continue to use that Word version for tracking changes. I want to scroll down to the bottom of this document and just answer a question so you can see how we as users and how we as PandaDoc recommend this red line functionality. So when you send a document, notice here that in this message I said, please review. If you require a red line, let me know, and I will share the MSA, or Master Terms of Service, in Word document format. So really important for you to think through that piece and have your Word document on hand. And so what we say is have everything in the proposal ready to go. The pricing, the dates, the terms, the explanation, the project roadmap. And then have this section of the red line be actually this right here, which is what we call an attachment block. And so maybe what you would see a lot of our customers do is they have something like this in the content library, and they have a section where they're going to drag and drop those approved word terms. So at the very bottom of the document, I have this section here that it says approved, if I can spell, folks, bear with me, approved terms of service below. And then beneath it, I have this section where I can insert. So that really is the answer to the client's question here on this call. Send them the Word document, tell them, please redline and track changes. Once you approve that, then you as the business owner, all you have to do is drag and drop the Word document right here into the file, into the PandaDoc. And one click, it's going to map out and list the 12 pages or the 6 pages of black and white text. But it's going to apply it to the rest of the document. And remember that the rest of the document already has all the information, and it has the e-signature sections and blocks. So in a really streamlined way, we help the negotiation and the back and forth by giving you this kind of tracked on Rails process, and then you as the user just get the track changes in the Word version approved and say, okay, I'm inserting it back into that contract I sent you. You upload it, and then here in the message, when you send it back to the customer, you just say something like, we've updated the terms here, please e-sign. And what that does for you is it takes it out of that, that back and forth and the emails and the various email chains. It takes it back to that system of record of that document and sends it out. So I wanted to hopefully answer the client's question, and I want to pause there. So thank you everyone for joining today. I know we've covered a whole lot. As a final place to leave you, I will say be sure to visit PandaDoc.com. Take a look and try it for free just to start a trial and really get rocking and rolling on your own time. And if you do have questions, you'll see a tutorial in there. And then you can visit our help.pandadoc.com where you see a lot of frequently asked questions, a lot of helpful tips, and you'll be able to contact us from there. But yeah, thanks for taking a look. Again, my name is Paul. It was great working with you here on this first Intro to PandaDoc webinar. And we hope you all have a great day, and tell other folks about PandaDoc. It's the new approach to streamline proposals, quotes, and contracts, and really speed up your business processes. So good luck, have a great week, and good luck in Q3 to everyone. We're here to help. Bye now.